Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. I'm back with another video to cover some interesting admin questions. So let's get started. So this is the first question. How will you display when the first opportunity was created on account object? So we have accounts in the system. Okay, so for each account record, on account record there should be one field, and that field should represent that date when the first opportunity was created on that particular account record. Okay, so this field should have a value that on this date the first opportunity was created for that particular account. Now some of you may think that I'll query all the opportunities associated with this account ID and then I'll sort them by the created date. But the easiest way of doing this is just creating roll-up summary. Yes, you can do it without code. How will you do it? So in roll-up summary, if you observe, there are two functions, min and max. So here we want to show the first opportunity. So here we want to show when was the first opportunity created. That means minimum of created date, right? Suppose the question was when was the latest opportunity or when was the last opportunity created on the account object, then you would have chosen the max function. So max of created date, right? So here you are using min and max function intelligently without creating any SOQL, any Apex code. So the answer is create a rollup summary, use min function for the field created date, and the summarized object would be of course opportunity. Okay, so this can be done with any other object, any parent-child combination. So interviewers can ask you the same question, but for the different parent-child combination or for the different field. But you have to intelligently use min and max function without creating flow or Apex. So they are expecting that you should not go to customization or configuration unnecessarily. So they are expecting you that you should use the customization wisely and utilize the simplest options first, like rollup summary, validation rules, or formula fields. Okay, so that's what I wanted to highlight through this question. That's why I took this question. Let's move on to the next question. The question is, does the ID of a record change if we undelete a deleted record? So suppose you have deleted a record and you restored it back from the recycle bin, you undeleted it. Now does the ID of that record gets changed or is it restored with a new ID? So your gut feeling must be saying that ID would never change, and you are right. The ID field which is generated at the time of record creation will never change. It's completely unique. So even if the record is deleted and then undeleted, it will remain the same. Okay. So this was kind of unusual question. So in my question, I had kept it simple, like just undeleting a record, but interviewer might add many confusing steps in this question, and at the end he will ask, does the ID change? So you have to just keep in mind the ID will never change. Even if the question seems complicated, it involves multiple processes, multiple steps. But if at the end they are asking you, does the ID of a record change? You have to answer no, the ID will never change. Okay. Then the next question is, describe some common use cases of hierarchical custom setting in the Salesforce. Now, this is a straightforward question actually, but I have noticed one thing. All of us know that what is the custom setting and what are the types like list and hierarchical, but we don't know how to explain the right examples and right use cases, especially for hierarchical custom settings. So I'm going to give you the simplest example to explain in the interview. We know that list custom settings are used to store things like postal codes or country codes. Okay, where there is no role of profiles or users. So those are just key pair value. So it's like for Toronto, this is the postal code. So those are just key pair values. But in hierarchical custom setting, so for those you don't know, I will just explain it in a minute, that if you keep it all wide, okay, it will be applicable to all. No need to personalize. But if you want to narrow it down, then suppose you want to discriminate between 2 or 3 profiles and you want to assign different settings to each profile, then you can again bifurcate as per profile. And again, in the same profile, if you want to apply different settings to each user, so you want to override profile settings too, means inside the same profile for different users, you can again personalize the settings. Okay, so it goes like this. So the example is, suppose you are storing the discounts, the percent of discounts in the custom setting. So the org-wide default is suppose 5%. Okay. So everyone in the system is authorized to offer 5% discount. Okay. Because default is 5%. Now we want to create an exception. So if we have an exception, for example, salespeople. Okay. So salespeople can offer 10%. So here for sales profile, I created an exception in the hierarchical custom setting. So I mentioned that for sales profile, my setting value is 10%, not 5%. So for salespeople, it will be 10 and for others, it will be 5. Now again, from sales profile, again, I want to narrow it down and I want to say that this is the one salesperson. For him, things are different. Now for him, the discount is 20%. Okay. So that person has a right to offer 20%. So in that custom setting, suppose that user is John. So in that custom setting, I will add a record of John and say the value is 20%, not 10, not 5, value is 20%. Okay. So this way you can personalize these settings in case we have personalized the discount percentage. Okay. So this is the simplest example. So if you explain this example, then the interviewer will ask you the next question. So suppose if user has a record in the custom setting, okay, and his profile is also mentioned, his profile is also there in the custom setting, then org-wide defaults will be respected or not. Okay, so if a user has a record in that custom setting, hierarchical custom setting, it will have a preference over profile. So the most specific setting will be referred. Okay, so if the user has a record, then the value stored in that record will be considered even if his profile is there, even if the org-wide is there. So the most specific thing will be considered. User has a high preference over profile, profile has a higher preference over org-wide default. Okay. If the logged in user does not have any value defined at the user level or profile level, then the organization level value will be considered. Okay. So this is just default value, but you can override it. Okay. So I hope all the questions around hierarchical custom settings are cleared. Now let's move on to the second question. What will happen if a field is hidden through field level security and the user searches for values in that field? Okay. So I'll explain the question. So suppose there is field employee number. Okay. And suppose user X doesn't have any access to this field. Okay. There is no FLS provided to this user. Okay. Now there are values. Suppose there is value 3241 in one of the record, okay, for this field employee number, and this user tries to search 3241 globally in the search bar. Okay, now this value matches with the search term. Okay, the search term matches with the value in the field, but user doesn't have any access. So the question is, will user be able to open up the record by searching this term? Now, till 2019, the search results would return the record if the search term matches despite having no FLS. Okay, but Salesforce fixed this bug and now no records are returned in the search if the value is matched. Okay, so before 2019, this used to happen that if you search this term, even if you don't have FLS, the records were getting opened. Records used to appear in the search result even if the user do not have access to this field. But now if you search with this term and if you don't have field access, records will not appear in the search result. Okay. I have purposely taken this question because on many websites they have mentioned the wrong answer that records will be visible in the search result, but that's not the right answer. That's why I purposely took this question. That right answer is records will not appear in the search results. Okay. So always read carefully, always cross-check the answers that you read online on any random websites. Please cross-check those answers and then answer it in the interviews, okay? Then the next question is, can we convert master detail relationship to a lookup relationship and vice versa? Interviewers ask this very often, that can we convert MD into lookup or lookup into MD? So the answer is, we can convert MD into lookup, but only if there is no roll-up summary field. Okay. So if you want to convert master detail into lookup, this master detail should not have any roll-up summary. because you know that in lookup relationship, the child record can exist without parent. Okay. So having roll-up summary on parent record can lead to a lot of data inconsistencies on record. So that's why Salesforce will not let you convert if you have a roll-up summary on MD. Okay. Then if you convert master data relationship to a lookup for a custom object on the detail side, then it changes the organization-wide default for that object to public read-write. Because you know that in master data relationship, the child object follows parent object's security considerations, right? But in lookup, it's not the case. That's why it changes the organization-wide default settings. Okay. Now, if you want to convert lookup relationship into master detail, means vice versa, then you can only do it if the lookup field in all record contains a value, because MD makes it mandatory to have value, right? MD means the child and parent relationship is rigid. Your child record cannot exist with parent, right? So all children records of that lookup relationship should have a value. So if all children record have parent assigned to them, then only a lookup relationship can be converted into master detail. Okay. So this may confuse you, but if you read this again, it will definitely make sense. Okay. And this is one of the commonly asked questions. So that's all for this video. I have covered a few interesting and commonly asked questions and explained their answers in the simplest possible way. I hope you have liked it. If you have liked this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.